Let's go.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. And today we bring real conversations that inspire growth and learning. And in today's episode, we talk about sales, business, and breaking myths with Mr. Daman Grewal. You're next on the screen, sir. Can you please tell us about yourself? A few lines.
Sure, yeah. I'm one of the founders of logisticsales.com, which is a free global platform to teach people about sales and entrepreneurship opportunities. And then also, I'm an entrepreneur. So I own a couple businesses in North America when it comes to transportation and trucking logistics.
Thank you for that brief. We'll just start with the first question to know more about you in detail. So, all right. So, what's one of the sales mistake that you think you have made so far, and what was the learning from those mistakes that you made?
Sales, well, one is just holding on to your contacts. Sometimes, if you don't have proper systems in place, and if you've been doing it as long as I have, over 25 years, yeah, sometimes you don't really stay in touch with all the clients that you've been in touch with in the past. And so sometimes having right systems in place obviously help with that. And just understanding like sales can help compound as well. So no matter what you start today, the people that you're reaching out to, again, just understanding like, in sales, sometimes it takes time to build clients. And so realizing that, they take so many touch points to have follow-ups with them, and you can nurture clients, slowly from a no, no, no to a yes. And so yeah, I think, for me, that was one of the biggest things is, not really taking care of those initial clients that were in the pipelines and then carrying them throughout, the different phases of business that I've been through. And you learn, and you kind of move forward from there.
Yeah, that is very true. I actually agree with the same because sometimes, in marketing, what you think is that what is important is to just sell your product. It's very important to also go for a post-sale connection with the client because you're expecting them to come back to you again and again. That's very important. If you don't be in touch with them, there's no connection, then, it doesn't work that way. So that's very true. Yeah. All right. So if
100%.
yeah, so if you had to start from zero again, from scratch, so how would you land your first paying client?
Well, first I would choose an industry where it would be a little bit more high ticket. Just knowing what sales is and knowing what it can do, I would pick something where I could actually add value. I don't think I would start in industry from scratch. I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel like they have to start from zero, but I would find some business that already exists that is struggling with growing their business or expanding their business, or where the owner is having pain points, and I would just say, "Hey, let me help you. Let me help you grow your business," and that would just literally be my pitch, and I would just let them know about my past experience, about how I've been able to scale businesses in the past, and I think it's an easy fit. Once you learn some of these skill sets when it comes into sales, a lot of people in businesses don't want to be doing the sales component because they find it difficult, and people have a difficult time with rejection. People have a difficult time trying to get people to influence people. And so again, there's a lot of mental blocks that occur with sales. A lot of people like to receive; they don't like to ask for anything. So yeah, just knowing some of those barriers that are there. But then there's also smart ways to, again, grow businesses. Right nowadays, it's anybody that has a phone can do social media. And again, if you know how to do writing really well, you can do script writing to do email templates or reach outs. And so just knowing that, sales has so many different components to it, very easy to go into any business. And then again, trying to open them up to different opportunities. And then it's just the mindset. I think the mindset also is more about, okay, where are they currently servicing people now, and what markets can we expand into? And so just seeing, okay, well, again, expanding, whether it's services or market reach, there's a lot of different options that you could kind of post forward to a company if your mindset is, again, there to a point where you have expansion in mind and you know the different ways to expand a business and grow a business.
Right. So that's an interesting statement that I have picked from your conversation, which is a mindset statement that it's more about mindset than anything else. But this brings another question to my mind that so how do you differentiate this traditional approach of marketing so far? And then, how do you think modern approach is far better than the traditional one? And then, how do you think people would have been surviving so far? Because initially, there's no social media so far for people who have been doing sales and marketing since years. So, what is your insight on that?
I think the foundational aspect of traditional sales still needs to be there. You need to be able to connect to the client, and you need to be able to solve a real problem. And so what we see nowadays is that there's just so much noise when it comes to the way that we do sales. Again, when it comes to social media, you're just putting it out there. You don't know who is really targeting, right? You may just be putting out organic content. But again, there's ways to get specific on it as well. But it depends if, again, if you're doing paid ads, yeah, you could really, again, narrow it down. But if you're doing more organic, you don't know who you're hitting. And so sometimes the messages is connecting, sometimes it's not. It's like you're throwing darts at a dartboard and hoping to see like, what sticks. So I think there's different ways that sales has evolved over time. But I think, again, technology can help us amplify it. Technology can help us create global communities and global scales, sales. So when we see that, technology can be used in a way where you can get exponential results a lot quicker, if you do social media marketing the right way, it gets you the right type of exposure. And again, it's just a matter of, are you able to connect? Are you able to solve real world problems? Can you, create those funnels to bring the right people in? But I think, it's a combination, right? If you don't have the fundamental skills
Yeah.
of traditional sales, then you're really not going to be able to do really well with, social media marketing or, sales how it is done today.
Yeah, so it's very important to cater the right market actually. That's the right crux. And identify the gap and then move in the right direction. Also look at the customers because they're very, very important. They are the main
Mhm.
stakeholders for the companies. Of course, you're supposed to be very sure about what they actually want. And ultimately, of course, the way you explained so far. Okay, so what is that one skill that actually made you earn the most money in your career so far and how?
Um, I'm definitely gonna say sales and communication was a big part of that, but I'm also gonna say a little bit simpler was just honesty and transparency. And I think a lot of things now, a lot of times nowadays, people are just looking for like working with somebody that's honest. They want to know that you have their best interest in mind. And I know whenever I started a lot of my companies, the biggest reason, like, if I ever ask somebody is like, "Why are you working with us?" And it would be like, "Well, hey, Damon, you seem pretty honest." And, that was the
Yeah.
biggest feedback that I would get from people. And, like, again, just that part of, I try to teach that in sales as well. Is just, again, it's that integrity component. How important that is when we're really just being genuine with somebody, and that a lot of people talk about it. The different levels of vibrations that go out, and authenticity is one of those vibrations that people can feel when you're talking to somebody. If you're able to connect with somebody
Right.
and build trust with somebody, and this is key components of sales as well, is this be authentic, be yourself, have the right interest in mind. Don't try to sell somebody something that they don't need. And and that was something that I would do even when we hired employees. And so any business, if you don't have employees and you have to sell your employees on being there, if you don't have those employees, you don't have a business. And so that's where one of the first components of sales comes into place. Or a major component when you're trying to grow a business is getting the right people in there. And again, even if you're going out and finding a job, right? Same thing. If you have a resume, you got to learn how to sell yourself to be able to get into employment, to get into a job. And employers are looking for the same thing. They're looking for people that are going to be genuine, honest, really tell you what their capabilities are, and not just fake it on the resume. And so a lot of these things are people are looking for in general. And nowadays, like, again, so much marketing that's coming at us, we don't know what to believe. And with AI and the way things are being generated, I'll notice so many fake type of ads. And then I'll also see this with social media marketing, people, influencers. They're selling products that they may not necessarily even believe in, just because they're making money off of it. So again, that integrity piece, the honesty piece is really going to be what's we're going to set people apart for long-term growth versus short-term. Short-term, sure, you can fool somebody, but in the long term, they're going to figure out who you really are.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I second your thought. So it's very important to have transparency, also follow ethics, and then yeah, integrity is very, very important. And then ultimately about your employees is very true that you're supposed to, because they are ultimately your assets. So they should be happy and they should be willing to be committed towards your organization. So that's very important again. All right. So can somebody really succeed in business without formal education today? So because without degrees or backup, can you actually can you try to be in that business, or what is your outlook on that?
Well, education's always great. Like, I'm never gonna put education down, but, the way that we teach it also in logistics sales, we say there is no obstacle to be successful in sales and business. It's just a matter of saying, "Okay, can we build a foundation, the right foundation to be able to succeed?" So I do believe it's possible to be successful in business without formal education. But again, all those skills that we're building throughout school and that we're building throughout university, it may not apply to the business directly that we end up doing in life. Like, I never thought I was going to be in transportation. I never thought I was going to be in logistics. And even now, I'm going out and building software companies. And so when I look at that, I didn't really realize that I didn't go to school for any of that specifically. I did afterwards. I did night classes after I was already in the business. But again, when I was growing up, I didn't think those skills were going to apply, but they all do, right? Every single piece of skill that we learn through life, whether that's, simple things like reading, writing, math, how to write essays, doing project work, learning how to work in teams, all this stuff comes in handy if you know how to apply it afterwards. And sometimes we don't think that it's going to be applicable, but then everything does, right? If you know how to look at numbers and read stats, if you have general interest about, again, what a profit margin is, maybe, right? But a lot of people have just basic common sense when it comes to that anyways. And again, being able to apply it and leverage, again, the education that we have can work. And so I know for myself, like, I just did grade 12, and that's what our standard schooling is here in North America, or in British Columbia where I live. But then my post secondary, I did a little bit of college afterwards, but I couldn't afford to go to finish my college or university. And then I had to start working, and I got, into transportation, got, into management type of roles when I was younger. And then I said, after so many times I tried to leave the industry, but people kept bringing me back. They're like, "Damon, you seem to have a skill in here that we need." And so, every time I tried to leave because I didn't enjoy it in the beginning, but eventually I saw like the opportunities in what I was doing, and I ended up doing, night school to finish off my schooling at a later time. But I was able to get successful in businesses without, again, that formal education. And we've seen that lots of times. There's many successful people that have dropped out of, university to start amazing and multi-billion-dollar companies around the world. And so, but I'm sure the education helped.
So I have seen people too who have been into education, and they have just quit their degrees, but they're doing really well in the business. And actually, it's more about how creative you are, how would you apply the idea generation to the right implementation in the business, I guess, rather than having the conventional approach of having more degrees backed up, and that doesn't justify your competency so far. So yeah, right. So, okay, so what is that biggest myth so far? People believe that about entrepreneurship, which is actually going wrong, according to you.
So what is the biggest myth about entrepreneurship? I think one of the biggest myths might be just that everyone, again, I think one of the biggest things is, like, everybody wants to start a business nowadays. And everyone thinks that entrepreneurship is easy and that they can make money right away. And so I don't think those things are necessarily true. What I've seen from my experiences is that business takes time, right? There's a learning curve that that's involved. And sure, you could do it with other people's money, as well. There's there's other ways to do that. But if you're a lot of people are, start off with their own capital, And when they do it that way, like it's a grind, right? You're starting off with a zero income, and then you're working hard to learn it and build it, and then whatever money is coming into you, you're putting back into the business because you need money to grow it. And so again, people think that entrepreneurship, you're going to make money right away, but in reality, it always has taken me about 3 to 5 years to establish a business. It can be done a little bit quicker now, depending on which industry you choose. But a lot of it just involves heavy investment back into it. Because if you want to grow, you're going to need people. You're going to have to invest in those people, and you're going to have to build systems. And when you build systems, it's going to also cost investment. And then again, if you want to generate sales or create assets, then those assets are also going to involve heavy investments into the business that you want to be able to create. And that's how you typically would want to grow, is try to retain as much equity as you can within an organization. And that involves capital. And so if you invest it back in, you just know that there's a future payout. And that's what true entrepreneurship is looking well out into the future, having a long-term vision, and knowing that if I do this consistently long enough, and I know my numbers, that eventually I'm going to hit these goals and the money's going to come. But for me, it's never come instant. It's always taken a little bit of work.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very important. It's very difficult to have that breakthrough level because, of course, for entrepreneurship, it's very important to have risk-taking capabilities, and of course, you can't be earning your profits. Most probably even not in the next 2 3 years. It takes about almost at least 5 years for somebody to start gaining from their investments, right? Almost, and that's even a very rare phenomena because people sometimes some of them even take more time to also get your profits and your revenues in return. Yeah, so right, okay. So thank you so much for being with us today on the show and sharing your insights. It was really good to have you, and thank you for finding out time from different time zones. I truly appreciate the your insights on the show today and the wisdom you brought to our audience. And I wish you all the best for your future. I hope to see you again, maybe whenever you're free again, so at least we can have some more insights for the audience. Yeah. So thank you so much for being on the show today. It was nice to meet you.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so this is with us, Mr. Daman Grewal, and that's a wrap for today's episode. So if you find value in this conversation, make sure you share it with people who can benefit from the same. And thank you so much for hearing us. Keep shining, keep learning, keep growing. I'll see you in the next episode with a fresh guest on the channel, same time, same place. And this is your host signing off.